All right, welcome back to Unbound Being. This is another episode, and this one is about edible gardens. You know, a lot of gardens in this world, almost everywhere you go in the world, are not edible. And this is a shame because we could really use that space. And this is one of the things I want to talk about because this is about solutions, right? Unbound being. If we want to be unbound beings, we got to take back certain responsibilities onto ourselves. We can't delegate these responsibilities to supermarkets or industrial growing facilities, greenhouses and things like that. If we really want to take at least some responsibility back onto ourselves, we should start looking at the incredible potential we have in edible gardens, in gardens. And what do we have? Like, for example, I went to Florida a while ago. I have the area of Miami and Fort Lauderdale, those areas, and it is absolutely incredible because Miami, of course, or Florida is basically a very flat peninsula, which is they call it like the widest river, I think, right? The Everglades. It comes from Lake Okeechobee and it flows really slow down. I think it's the widest river and the most shallowest river and the slowest flowing river in the world. I don't know if it still is because they really, been exponentially growing there, but that really used to be the thing. And the water moved so slow that it was really fertile ground, and it was of course fresh. And the water in the ground is so close to so close to the roots basically that it grows really well. So it's not every place in the United States that this is, but most places have fresh water. Most places have enough rainfall, and it's a lot of places in the world where a lot of people have beautiful gardens. But I think in Florida, if I drove around, I could barely find a mango tree or basically any real fruit tree or anything. So how can we use this? And I see this incredible potential where we can be these unbound beings, more unbound, because we got it right there. It's just a mental switch over we have to make, just that little thing that we can go bang. What we got here? We got an incredible untapped potential where we could be growing an incredible, huge amount of food right there in our backyards. And it's not even just those countries where the water is abundant, because even in countries like where I live, where it's really dry, the people can grow a lot more because there's a lot of decorational trees, which sometimes they have a certain purpose and you might enjoy their flowers or whatever, and they all have a function. But if we start switching to edible gardens, we really see how we could take back onto ourselves the potential of, or not the potential, the reality of our backyard food. Basically, we just have to make that shift where even the parks and the roadsides, we got so many areas that are now just growing stuff that, it's beautiful, but it doesn't serve us to eat or to make any products from. And if we would switch those, it's to fruit trees and things like that, it's not even that they are ugly. You see, most fruit trees and things that give off beautiful, edible, and delicious and nutritious stuff are not necessarily ugly things, right? A lot of the fruit trees out there are actually just as beautiful as any decorative tree. Of course, fruit trees generally don't have as many flowers, but besides that, they're beautiful, ornamental, decorational, trees as well, and shrubs. So that is something I wanted to really go into, and I'll go into that a lot in other videos more often, but really just to have this little kickstart, this little jump start for people to start shifting their ideas from the incredible waste that we're doing right now of areas which we are irrigating, which we are tending to, which we are spending time in the beginning to plant them. It's basically from the beginning to the end. You got planting them and growing them and tending them, and then they're not really giving off anything. So basically you could, if you see the shift, right? You could see the supermarkets, you could basically see all those trees, and then if you're looking at both, you could basically shrink the supermarket. You could see that you could take away so much out of the supermarket and just bring it back into those trees, which were, and that's what you see when you're looking at these cities, right? Like in Miami and Florida, generally, you got an incredible amount of growth everywhere. They do that really well because everything grows so well. But then you got all these big supermarkets, and you can basically take the content and reduce that by at least 30% in the supermarkets. So you could see the building of the supermarket getting smaller, and you could see the swap over from those trees. Now, some people think that's a big task, Well, actually, I lived in Florida for a while, and when I left Florida somewhere in 90-something, Miami, the naming of the city I remember was something like 100 years. So I left it 96, 95, 96 or something, I left the United States. And at that time, I remember there was a celebration of Miami being 100 years old, something like that, right? The naming of the city, right? Now, imagine 100 years ago. I mean, 150 years ago, there was nothing in Florida, basically nothing. And there was a few settlements. And now, you know, basically the bulk of the growth that happened was the last, I don't know, it's probably even lasted 20, 30 years. Basically, from what Miami used to be 30 years ago, it's probably 5 times the size right now. Or Florida, I mean, right? The whole area, basically, that's been expanding in that area. So if we can grow, if we can build, if we can do all those highways, if we can put all those buildings there, all those shopping malls, all those things out there, then we can definitely shift, which means every time a tree falls or a hurricane comes along, you know, don't plant just that thing anymore, but this time plant something that's edible. Because edible gardens are probably, you know, the one single most biggest solution that we have to our own food industry, to our own food problems. We have to start taking back the food and making it part of our life again. You know, we have to incorporate it again into our daily, right? We can't walk by all these trees and just see them as trees. We should start becoming again conscious of what we are, conscious of our surroundings, conscious of what we're consuming. You can't separate your food that much anymore. And that's the main way to do that, is to make our landscapes edible again. You could make golf courses. You can make them with, you know, all kinds of edible trees and nuts and fruit trees and shrubs that you have berries on. It's amazing what you can do. And this is one of the main things I want us to focus on, because as unbound beings, as beings that I want to be freer from those things that are binding us and less dependent on other people or other companies or other systems that are providing for us, well, as unbound beings, if we want to be like that, one of the main things we can do is take back our food supply. Take back control over what we eat, without the pesticides, without the chemicals, without all the stuff that's giving us cancer and increasing diseases by exponential amounts, right? So I hope you enjoyed that. Edible gardens is one of the most important things we can do. And if we do this one move, this one single thing, it's an incredible amount of change we can see in the upcoming decades on our planet here. So hope you enjoyed that. Plant your tree today or tomorrow. Go out and buy one and replace one of the other ones, or find an empty spot and get your garden going and get your edible gardens going, and slowly just expand. Even if you plant one a year, keep it going, right? See you next time.